Huge crowd. This is awesome. It's so great to be back. I'm a third year at Hal-Con. For those of you who don't know me, I'm AJ Fry. Well, some people know me. Had fun at Geeks vs. Nerds last night. Take that, Sunnydale. Well, let's not start anything right now because we're all here to celebrate someone very special who I'll bring out in just a second. If you want to catch yourselves on Inner Space, it's this Tuesday at 7 Atlantic time, 7:30 for those of you in St. John's. Otherwise, we got a very special guest. Any fans of Sliders here? Any fans of Indiana Jones? I don't suppose there's any fans of Lord of the Rings. Well, let's bring him out, the man you all want to see and hear and listen and talk to and everything. It's Rhys Davies, everybody! Look at that crowd.
Well, you're very kind, and there are far too many of you standing up. Is there no other way? Can we not squeeze a few people up in the front and... Oh, dear me, I'm so sorry to keep you standing. Anyway, all right. Anyway.
Let's have a seat.
I've done the first thing right. I didn't sit on the microphone. Right. Splendid.
Well, we will get to audience questions. There's a microphone set up, so if any of you have questions for John, feel free to line up. But I have to begin by asking you about something I got to see last night. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen at a convention. It happened here at Hal-Con last night. Why don't you tell the audience the special thing that you got to do?
Well, I got to help celebrate the renewal of vows. Was that what you're referring to?
Yeah, the 10-year anniversary.
Good. Very, very good, yes.
And they were in costume.
And they were in costume. Very revealing costumes, too.
They're right there in the front row. Everyone give them a hand. 10 years.
And today they're disguised as Trekkies.
Yes.
Very, very good. Well, it was wonderful and very moving too. And congratulations for putting up with each other for 10 years. Probably you deserve a medal for both of them. Yes, I think Dr. Johnson actually described remarriage. He could have described first marriage, I suppose, but Dr. Johnson described second marriages or remarriages as, quote, the triumph of hope over experience. Oh, dear me, my old cynicism is coming through. Anyway, it's lovely to be here in fashionable Nova Scotia. I've never been here before. And you are a wonderful and generous and kind people and a terrific audience. So fire away, ask a question.
Is that the reason to come to these conventions? This wonderful, things like that, these magical moments that you don't really get to experience anywhere else?
Well, I was intending to do a bit of salmon fishing while I was here, but unfortunately the schedule changed and I'm out first thing Monday morning, I suppose. But I'll be back. The best reason for doing it is that you get to meet your audience, and the audience reminds you who you are, what you should be, what you've done, what you've failed to do, and what you should try and do in the future. You're a marvelous audience. Incidentally, I think the Lord of the Rings audience, in particular, is one of the smartest audiences that I've ever met. And I was thinking about this, and it occurred to me that most of the people who went and saw Lord of the Rings had already read the book, and the book is that thick. So it means that they've got a certain level of intelligence to begin with. And those who had seen the book, seen the films, and hadn't read the book, went out and bought the book and read it. So hugely clever audience. But that is not to decry the other audiences who are from all walks of life, all shades of education and hope and ambition and things like that. You never cease to astound me. I cannot tell you, I must have met about 120, 130 people in the course of my life who've come up to me and said, look, the reason that I am a professor of archaeology is that I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. I was at a museum opening in Memphis once with the keeper of antiquities, Greek and Roman antiquities at the British Museum. and a splendid museum curator who was a real scholar in her own right. And we're all in this taxi going to a press conference. And I have to confess to them, look, I said, I'm sorry, the real attention should be on you guys, but some of the attention will be on me. And I'm only there because, you know, I once assisted the most famous archaeologist of the 20th century. And this dear old boy who's ex-keeper and an incredible Egyptian scholar, he said, oh, that's all right, John. In our line of business, we're accustomed to dealing with fakes.
Well, before we get to the floor, I just want to get this clarified because there's conflicting reports on the internet. You at times said you didn't want to be involved in The Hobbit. Now I've heard maybe you are. So until I hear it from you, let's just clarify. What's going on? Are you going to be involved in The Hobbit in any way?
I wouldn't think so. There's no reason for me to be involved in The Hobbit because my character, you know, wasn't in The Hobbit. I mean, he may have been in 3 or something like that. You might see a little glimpse of him in the background.
But you can do wonderful voice work. You did 2 characters in Lord of the Rings, so...
Well, yes, but, you know, sometimes you come to the end of something and it's time for the next lot to lift up the flag and carry on.
True enough.
You loved the dwarf in Lord of the Rings. I promise you this, by this time next year, you will be in love with the 13 dwarves. And they are going to do a spectacular and wonderful job. And I was just a bit miffed that when I went and saw them, they had half the blasted makeup on that I had.
Let's go to the floor.
Hi. I was just wondering if you're aware of the refame that you've received on the internet because of the line "and my axe" appearing in various Photoshop meme pictures, and how it feels to become a internet sensation because of one line.
My 15 minutes just has sort of expanded a bit longer. Trust me, in 20 years' time, no one will remember me. No, that's not a sad thing. All you have to remember is that fame is absolutely ephemeral. The great ones, the really great ones, you know, the Da Vincis, the Mozarts, and things like that, you know, they are remembered. But there are an awful lot of people who are famous in their own day, I mean really and deservedly famous, who are long since forgotten. So, my advice to you, intending to become famous, as you clearly are, is grab it while you can, but understand it's ephemeral. It won't last forever. Well, it doesn't mean say you can't have fun while you're there.
Thank you.
Great answer. Let me follow that up, though. You know, in talking about 20 years' time, obviously the technology of movies and with the internet now, you know, memes are becoming popular, and you know, the media that we consume is becoming sometimes shorter. What do you think of the future of entertainment medium? Where are we headed? Are you excited about it or apprehensive?
Oh, they will actually get rid of actors, and they will be very pleased to get rid of actors. And then, guess what? Surprisingly enough, the films won't quite be as fascinating as they were in the old days. And they'll wonder why. What are we missing? Missing old hams. That's what we're doing. Well, we can recreate them. It will be different. All you can say about the future is it'll be different. There are things you can say about the future. I mean, there are people here who I hope by the time they get into the late 70s and 80s of this century will be able to go to their doctor and say, "Doctor, well, what is the result?" And the doctor will say, "Oh, bad news, I'm afraid. Yes, it's gone to the kidneys and the livers." "Oh, damn. And I've got my holiday booked." "Oh, well, I mean, I've got the new kidney and the liver on the boil, you know, it's coming along. But you're really going to have to take it easy. I mean, what are you now, 65, 75? On this holiday, no more skydiving. You know, no more deep sea diving." You've just got to take it easy until they're back in properly. I think that STEM technology and probably 3D printing, making bones up and things like that, is going to give some of you, not all of you, some of you a chance of surviving to be 100, 120, something like that, and still active. And then when you add the incremental gain of the technology, I think it is just possible that some people in this room, and certainly the children of the people in this room, will have effective immortality. I think that it will be possible to renew you, up to 150, 250 years. Of course, your whole attitudes will change then, because the notion that, in fact, you could die accidentally will be so horrifying that you will get very punitive about people who take the risk of running you down in cars and things like that. There are going to be changes. Yeah. Sorry.
That's a great answer, though. Let's go to the floor.
Hi there. You've been a part of two of the biggest movie franchises of the past, quarter century, 30 years, et cetera, et cetera.
Don't forget the Bond film.
No, not. Yeah. How could I magically forget that just now? But does that affect your perspective at all? Like, you've been a part of all these things that have affected people's lives and changed them for the better and whatnot. Like, do you ever take a step back and I was a part of this. I helped this. People are still remembering all these things I've done for them. Like, that's got to affect you somewhat.
I haven't done anything for them. One of the good things is it confers on me a certain respectability, wholly undeserved. But it doesn't mean that, that I can. The fearful thing about being a parent is this: no matter what you say to your child, you are the living proof that ignorance exists. And a stranger, a total stranger, can come up and make a chance couple of remarks, and your child comes back and says, "Wow, do you know what he or she said? He said," and you think, "Well, I've been trying to say that for 20 years." And they go off and do extraordinary things. And one of the reasons I like to come to these things is that I like to meet young people, and sometimes you can say things to young people that really hit them at just the moment when they're vulnerable. And what Canada needs, what the United States, what the West needs, is more engineers, more people into science and technology and stuff like this. And if you are numerate, and you have an interest in science, then really give it a go. Give it a go. We need people who are able to look at numbers and say, something wrong there. For me, it's I'm completely innumerate, but sometimes I hear a number and think, wait a minute, how can that be that right? And that can't be right. It just has to be too big or too small or something like that. There's a wonderful phrase by T.S. Eliot in one of his essays, the common pursuit of true judgment. And that is what really our lives are about. Getting to the position where we can actually look at things and say, no, that can't be right, can it? The line is sort of there. And that's a line that we can hit sometimes in our lives, but as often as not, we're way off. And life is that ongoing exploration and journey towards true judgment. And then we die. Sorry. The answer to your question, oh gosh, I almost forgot it. One is awfully lucky and awfully flattered, and you better understand that it's wholly undeserved. So, thank you, yes.
Thank you.
Is that right?